Okay, I have 5, so let's open it up. How is everybody? Midway through the semester and you're getting tired.
Yeah.
Are we midway through yet? I don't think so, are we? Close.
Pretty close, I think.
Yeah, nice.
That makes me feel a little bit better to know that we're like halfway through.
Yeah. The next thing to do is the midterm. So questions about that? Remember, it's 5%. It's multiple choice. If you do the reading, you're well prepared. And
Is it?
go ahead.
Are we time constrained?
Yes, you have 90 minutes once you start to answer the questions, and it's open from Friday morning at 8 o'clock till Sunday night at 8 p.m.
I have a question about the reading. So I'm going through to brush up on the reading because it's been a while since we read some of the chapters. I was just wondering, when you say do the reading, like there's the our book, the clinical foundations of clinical research, application to practice. We have the other book, and then there's always like a couple of articles in the modules. Should we be rereading the articles too?
You know, those articles are to sort of, they're sort of exemplars of what you've read about to help you see, kind of picture what that kind of study looks like. But the concepts that will be on the midterm, I think the assigned reading in the textbooks are going to be most useful to you to prepare for midterm. Unless you're having a hard time conceptualizing or picturing what they're describing and you need an example, because that's what those articles are about for the most part. But that's a good question. I'd focus my energy on the textbooks, both of them.
Okay.
Other questions about that?
We're going to have to run, the textbooks look at statistics. We won't have to run those, will we?
No, that comes in these analysis assignments, and you guys are going to rely on the PhD students to actually run the analysis. You're going to work together on interpreting it, and then the DMP students are going to write up the clinical significance part. So no, that's covered in the other assignments. And that's a good question, because the one textbook actually gives you lots of examples of analysis, but that's not on the midterm.
Okay, thank you.
Concepts, not the analysis skills.
Okay.
Other questions about that? The thing that I believe is due after that,
the first analysis.
Yeah, is the meta-analysis assignment.
We have questions about that, but I'll let Alexis go first. We were working on it and trying to, I know that the PhD students were supposed to run the analysis, but we were trying to understand it last week to get a head start.
Yeah, so let me pull up and share my screen. I think you can see it now. And
we can see it, or I mean, I can.
All right, so if we go to this assignment, it gives you the problem. It outlines who does what with this assignment. And then if you go to the module for this week,
the how-to section.
Yeah, there's actually several things in there that kind of walk you through it.
Yeah, we have some questions about that particular how-to.
So would you be willing to pull up your the one that's got all the hints to it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
think so. Let's see.
Yeah, this is the how-to.
So, can you scroll down?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just not open yet.
Oh, it's not. Oh, I see.
It's not open?
Oh.
It's open, yeah.
Oh, can you scroll down a little bit for it then?
Mm-hmm.
Our question's lower.
Yeah.
Let's see if it'll go any lower.
If you click on that arrow or that like bar, the second bar in, it'll scroll down.
So I'm at the bottom with the file drawer analysis. Is that what you're seeing?
So maybe, yeah, we don't see that.
Oh,
maybe if you actually click on the link, it'll open.
Are you on a different screen? Do you have two screens?
Let's see. Possibly. Let's see here. Now, is it the right one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, perfect. So, and maybe scroll up a little bit. There, perfect. So when we look at this, step one is inputting our scores, and I understand how, like, for example, let's say we had 1.5 of D, we would put the 1.5 of D in the input, and that would give us a Z-score. We'd then copy the Z-score down to the blue section.
You understand step 1A with plugging in either the R, the D, or the Z from the question? You get that?
Yeah.
And then you get the Z-scores. I'm sorry.
I think it was pretty straight. I think it was pretty straightforward. If it was a D, you plug it in D.
Okay.
If it was a if it was a C, which we didn't have a fee, but if it could be a C or an R, again, that would then be a D.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it was an R, it was an R. And so we plug those in, we get the numbers.
Yeah, and the Z go in here.
Yep.
So these numbers go in here.
And then it auto-calculates the rest.
Well, no, you have to put in the ends.
Oh, sorry, the 30, yep. Mm-hmm.
So you put in the sample size for each study.
Mm-hmm.
And then it calculates your Z and your Z bar and your test Z. And then it also calculates the heterogeneity. So it calculates all the rest of this for you.
Right.
In that blank,
So
you're going to use the blank calculation Excel sheet.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the question. On step 2, it auto-calculates heterogeneity. Mm-hmm. What you have as an example here in step 2 is how we would manually calculate it, not how to do anything with what's already in there.
So do you see underneath here where it says look up the chi-square with 3 degrees of freedom in the table? That's from your that's from your textbook.
Okay.
So I think I'm a little confused there because is the value we're getting in the box a p-value, or are we supposed to look that up in a table? Because we tried to find that in a table and couldn't find it. That's why we were.
Yeah, so this pink box, the degrees of freedom is your, depends on your sample size. And then it calculates this number, and then you use the chi-square tables in your textbook, and that helps you interpret. So the very first step in doing all of this is to first look at, see if I can go back to if you go back to the modules and do the readings in this, do all these readings first. It's going to make a lot more sense to you.
Okay.
So this will.
And this one is not on the midterm, this module.
That is correct.
Okay, so everything up to like before this.
That is correct. Okay. Now, is this or not? But the very first step, and I'm somehow in the wrong place here. Let me see if I can find it. I would do the readings for this module in the order they come up. And then you can use that how-to sheet to actually do the analysis. And if I can get there again, I'll show you. Okay. So if you work your way through, do the readings, do the PowerPoint, and then go on to look at the example. I'd open the how-to and the Excel spreadsheet at the same time and walk yourself through it. But this is the part that's going to give you the content. Now you got to move you guys on the other side of my screen. And this is going to walk you through everything that you're calculating, what it all means. And it walks you through an example as well. So these are your effect sizes, which sounds like you got already. And don't worry about these formulas, because that's what computers are for. But this is just telling you what they're all about. This talks about the effect sizes. Let's see if we can get down to the bottom here. And then this talks about your file drawer analysis. And here's the description of finding the test statistic in the table. And then this is on the file drawer analysis. So I think if you just do this reading, then open your how-to and the Excel file, you're going to be fine. Have you already read through this?
I skimmed it and we got like the first half. I haven't done the second half yet because I was doing rereading for the midterm and stuff, but we were just trying to like take a first pass at it to understand what our questions would be, because then it's due after the midterm. So we just kind of wanted to.
I think.
Well, I think you answered the question. We can't assume that what is automatically computed is our p-value. So that answers that question. And then this will help us figure out how to calculate the chi-squared. This sounds like.
Yeah, this is going to walk you through what that Excel spreadsheet is going to do for you automatically. But you have to interpret it, so you have to understand what is it that we're getting.
Okay.
So this is talking about your weighted average that's calculated, and then this is talking about interpreting it.
Right. So I understand that we need to interpret the values, but I think if I'm reflecting on the worksheet again, it gives the chi-squared plus the degrees of freedom, and this will help us understand how it's calculated. We need to understand how to interpret it. My question is what's calculated the p-value then? Or is what's calculated the number that we need to then go out and find the p-value in the table?
So you now have the overall significance level, and so but yes, you do have to go to the table and come up with, here's this section of the chi-squared statistic has a p less than 0.05, then that means there's a significant amount of heterogeneity. So this goes back to that pink section on the
Yep.
So then it's so small in the table, Alexis, that we were looking at, then it has a corresponding p-value. We just thought it was so small we didn't have a table with those kinds of numbers. And I think that's where we were confused, because we were like, this number is not in our table.
Yeah, and it's less than that 0.05.
Yeah, it would be really tiny.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so again, so that number is our p-value. I understand how to interpret the p-value, but I'm questioning, is that actually our p-value?
No, the chi-square thing that's calculated, we have to go out to the table, which we did. We just didn't understand that we were looking at the correct table. It's so small that it would be less than 0.05. I have to go look at the table, but it was a really tiny p-value. So if you look at the number of degrees of freedom and then the smallest number and with the corresponding p-value, that would be our p-value. So the number in the box is not our p-value.
Right.
Okay.
You have to go to the table.
So if we go back to the worksheet then, the Excel spreadsheet,
all right, let me see.
I don't know if you can
move you to
easily get back there.
Slide here. I should be able to do it. Let's see. Oops.
But I think that's where we were confused, is it was so small. We were like, is that a p-value?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little tricky. You're right.
So that's why I want to see this Excel spreadsheet, because you've actually given a value that is actually, well, let's open it and see before I make a statement.
So that value
Oops,
is what it says.
That value is 0.00091 for heterogeneity.
Right.
And yet you say that it's greater than 0.05.
If you go to the table, look up that chi-square value.
Now the table in our foundations book, or I didn't look in the other book yet.
I gotta pull the book.
I have it.
I have it right here.
Okay.
Oh. Critical values of chi-square, x squared.
It's one of the appendices, right?
Is it?
I'm sure it is. I'm just looking for.
Well,
Breaking up. I didn't hear you.
I'm just looking for the page on the appendix. So it's got to be an appendices.
Let's see.
I probably have a different page number because I didn't get the 3rd edition. I think the other, like, there was an edition prior that was a little bit cheaper, so I got that one.
So it's, those tables shouldn't vary, Stesha. It's not like they change. So I'm in Portney and Watkins, Appendix A, 0.5, critical values of chi-square.
Do you have a page?
Mine's 810.
Yep.
Oh, okay. You're in the blue book. I've got the other book. Oh, sorry.
I'm in the green book, and it's page 810.
Oh, good.
I'm in this one. You're in the other one, right?
This one.
Yeah, okay. I got to go get that one.
And Stesha, you're absolutely correct that when you look under 3 degrees of freedom and you look at the 0.05, which is that first column, the number is much bigger than this number. So if that made you nervous, I understand. But
yeah, that's why I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's why I thought, I'm like, oh, maybe that's a p-value.
So,
okay, I got my book.
So then the p is much greater than 0.05, which in this case is good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait, I'm looking here. So I'm on 810. I've got 3 degrees of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got an alpha. We want 0.00091.
No.
So you're right.
No, what did you set your alpha at? It's p of less than 0.05 is what the typical alpha is. So it's that first column. So your number, the critical value for the chi-square is 7.82, and you have 0.00091. So that means your value is greater than 0.05. And so that's talking about no heterogeneity.
Right. So 7.82 is what the text says. 0.00091 is greater than that?
Your p-value in the textbook is greater than what you calculated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
So these critical values are, that's always a reference table that you have to compare it to.
Got it. Okay. So that makes sense. And I think that we both understood, Stesha, correct me if I'm wrong, on how to interpret the result. Like we understood that the heterogeneity, how like above and beyond the p-value of what the heterogeneity would be. So we can go back and look at that.
Yeah, I think
and then the z-test.
Go ahead.
What's that?
I think we misunderstood the p-value piece. Like we're on this table, we just didn't understand what to do with it.
Yeah. And especially when the number's so different than what you're dealing with, I can understand how you would get a little freaked out about that. But that's it. And so then you're going to
use the z-test. What would we be looking at? Which are we looking for the z-test? I guess. Which table are we looking at that at?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question.
The very last, number 3 on your little grid there. Yeah.
Number 3 on what now?
That the
how to?
Excel spreadsheet you had open.
You're breaking up. I'm not hearing you.
Oh, sorry. On the Excel spreadsheet you had just had open?
Yeah.
It's the z-score, I think, or the z-test. So step 3 down there.
Okay, so step 3, you're going to go to the z table instead of the chi-square table.
Okay. And that's looking at the same type of value. Okay. And that is going to tell us, I'll figure that out when I do the reading, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think that was one of the questions. I think that's why I'm stumbling on that. I don't think you asked us about that in the question, in the assignment.
I don't remember that one, but
yeah,
I mean,
it goes through that in the reading. So do the reading first. So
Okay.
there's a voice PowerPoint that talks conceptually about why we even do this. Then do the reading on kind of how to do it. Then pull up the how-to sheet. And if you have two screens, put the how-to sheet on one and the blank Excel sheet with the formulas in it on the other, and then plug your numbers in. And this actually is a very useful tool for DMPs. You guys may be doing this. If you find a whole handful of little studies on your topic of interest, it may be very worthwhile to pool these to say collectively, if we put these 3 or 4 studies together, what does it tell us? And especially if they have different sample sizes and different findings, sometimes you're confused. You don't know which way to go. So this is a nice strategy to say, okay, here's what the current evidence tells us.
Okay. And, you know, I'm just OCD enough, I guess, that I always like, as much as I want our PhDs to be able to do their body of work, I kind of like to do some of the stats just because I like to know. We can download the SPSS, right?
Oh yeah, it's all there for you.
well,
There's
if you,
just some faculty that feel very strongly that there are distinct roles, and they feel, and that's why the assignments are the way they are. But it's all there for whoever wants to do whatever with it. Just the same way as I think most PhD nurses have some clinical background at some point, and they probably have some thoughts about the clinical significance too. So it's teamwork, and I think any part of it that you guys, you know, any part of the analysis you want to do, all of this stuff is there and you can access it.
Okay.
also, Alexis, we, I don't know if you took stats, but in that class they had us down at Load It.
Yeah, I did, but it was, you only get it for a period of time. So I have to.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking
you
about the
in
SPSS stat pack.
Yeah, I'm going to file drawer analysis because it looks like we'll have to do, I had the assumption, erroneously, obviously, that these numbers were somehow our numbers that we were then supposed to interpret. So I understood how to interpret the heterogeneity as far as if it's higher or lower than the p-value, but getting those out. So for example, the file drawer analysis, it says 1, I assumed that was our number, but it looks from this like it's not, and we need to do that extra work.
Right. Right.
That's what I wanted to, so I think that knowing that, it's will be good to just have the opportunity to just support our PhD too, more eyes on it.
Yeah. And the interpretation is supposed to be done together. So yeah, it's good to be able to think it through, and what does this mean, and how did we come up with that number?
Okay.
And then the
I'm
other
busy looking.
Go ahead.
Yep, go ahead. Nope, go ahead. I'm busy looking for the appendix that's going to give me the Z-test score.
Yep, it does. The other thing I was just gonna mention for tonight is, after that, the next assignment is the proposal outline, which is due November 4th. And I just want to make sure people are okay with how they're going to outline the proposal. So it can just be broad headings, but it should be kind of outlining everything you're going to cover in your project proposal. if you're a DNP, and your dissertation proposal if you're a PhD.
So,
And quantitative. So if you're doing qualitative for your project or your proposal, you have to come up with something different for this class.
so for this, the proposal outline, when you say general headings, like a background section, but
Yep. Intro, background, title, if you have one, you can go ahead and plug that in.
but for the outline, like in the background, do I put a couple of points of what I'm going to put there, or just background?
If you have them, go ahead and
Okay.
put that out.
So like, it's a bare bones outline that you're asking for then.
Yes. Broad.
Okay. I was
broad
really nervous about
categories.
it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
are we sure about that?
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
So methods, setting, sample, procedure. If you've thought through what that method's going to be, go ahead and say that, like quasi-experimental, pre-test, post-test. If you've thought that far in advance, go ahead and plug that in. But this is very outline bullet, no details needed, just, but comprehensive. Don't leave anything out. So analysis, interpretation, and results, interpretation, discussion, and conclusions. It should be a pretty thorough outline.
And the proposal is us writing about it on what we're going to do.
Yep.
But we're not going to have any answers, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
So in this outline, as an example, I went to the place we had in our second module, and
Yep.
I went and I grabbed the Squire, but
Yep.
it gives me an outline.
Perfect.
What do you want? So I've got that lovely outline. I can't assume that that's my outline. Am I like taking things out? Am I adding titles? Am I just keeping it that abstract?
Providing as much detail as you currently know. So not just in bulleted format.
So I need to come up with, because again, I think that my DNP project isn't necessarily going to be a perfect fit for some of the quantitative. So I'm just trying to figure out, I'm trying to script this in my brain on how am I going to come up with a proposal that's, I mean, I could just do anything, right? I could just come up with any projects I want to do.
Any quantitative project. And if it's QI, the Squire guidelines are the appropriate outline template to be using.
Yeah. And so when I write the actual proposal, let's say I'm just proposing, interventions for diabetic patients, right? Just some interventions for diabetic patients. When I'm writing my introduction, am I actually writing it like a paper, like you would in an introduction on a research project?
For your paper, yes. For the outline, no. You can just, like Steph asked, if you want to talk about incidence and significance and a couple bullets, that's great.
And for the outline, no references, or do you want us to put references in there?
No. Okay. If it helps you to organize, to have the references, that's okay, but they're not required for the assignment.
Okay.
And the point of this is for me just to peek at what you're thinking and give you feedback. The idea of this is to strengthen the final paper because it's a bunch of points.
Right, and I like it because mine is in line with what I'm doing for my project, so it'll help me think through all of those things, like the aims and like what are the outcomes going to be. And I am a little nervous because the problem or the project aims, we have to turn in our evidence table this week for the other class, which is good, and I'm trying to get that together. But the aims I might be due sooner. I have to look at that. That's the only thing, like they might be changing. You know what I mean? we have more time for yours, but the Ames might be due sooner. So I'm just nervous about the fact that theirs is due sooner, and I'm trying to like catch up to it.
Yeah. None of this is set in stone. Each class you take, we hope, going to inform that final project. So you'll continue to tweak it as you go along.
Okay.
But the whole idea of having the outline and then the proposal is so that we can give you feedback so you can get the max amount of points on that proposal.
Okay.
And
I almost mentioned that our final proposal will be kind of what we've critiqued in either whether we do quasi-experimental or experimental, right? We're almost building a research project, if you will, but it's 15 pages, and most research studies in their totality are not.
So, so careful with the language, because you guys are doing more quality improvement projects. And so that will be not aiming to be generalizable, and won't really be, it'll be quality improvement in one setting, but not generalizable knowledge, and not considered a research project, but more a QI type project. So, I had another thought about what you were saying, and it just escaped me.
15 pages.
15 pages, thank you. In reality, when you go to submit a manuscript, it usually is 15 pages double spaced. So even though that seems like a lot, it's about what you submit for a manuscript.
Okay.
And then the other thing that's starting to happen is my organization is speeding up my project a little bit faster than the classes. Is that okay?
Hey, it is what it is.
I can't be like, I don't start my second semester until January. Can we like wait 3 months?
Yeah, so work really closely with your mentor.
Okay.
So that you don't get to next semester and they go, oops, you got to redo it. So work really close with your mentor.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Other questions about that?
No, it sounds like you just want a shell for that proposal, for the outline.
Absolutely. And as I said, give me as much detail as you know, like if you know what the variables are, and you know what the design is, and you know what the outcomes are going to be, and all that sort of thing, go ahead and plug it in, but it can be very bulleted. It doesn't have to be polished at all. But the more you give me, the more meaningful feedback I can give you. So I would say, you know, bullet out as much detail as you have.
Okay.
Okay. That's due 2 weeks after the meta-analysis.
That one's due on November 4th.
Hang on, let me look at these.
2 weeks after the oh wait, okay. I'm confused here, I'm looking here. No, okay, 1 week after, okay.
So the midterm
we have
is October 20th. The first analysis assignment is October 28th. And the outline is November 4th.
Okay.
Okay, so there's,
yeah.
Okay.
Things speed up again
Okay.
After the midterm. I gave you a little longer period just to get through all the reading and be ready for the midterm. But then we kind of have weekly assignments again after that.
Okay.
Other questions?
That's as far as my brain is ready to move. I can't go too far in advance.
We're trying.
I love that you're interested in doing the meta-analysis. So that's good. All the pieces are there for that one. You don't need anything other than what's in the modules.
Okay. So Sasha, we should probably get another group meeting together so we can look at what we figure out.
Yeah, I'll text everyone. I'm assuming everyone's getting ready for the midterm and we can meet early next week.
Yeah, agree.
You guys panicked me a time or two that I think you may have used the Zoom in the class, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, did I set up a meeting with someone? And then I thought, no, they must just be using the Zoom link.
We're borrowing your Zoom. You got this nice platform for us.
I thought that's what it was for.
It is. But I always worry, oh no, did I say I'd meet somebody?
We did actually have it. We did all, a couple of us joined last Monday because we thought we were having a meeting, but we didn't. But that's okay.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
I have them. I think I have the right dates posted in that announcement. But it's getting kind of messy with all the recordings. It's a little hard to find.
That's okay.
That's okay.
We chat.
I figure jumping out on Monday for an hour isn't a problem, even if it doesn't work out. So
yeah, and I am gone out of the country in November, the 8th to the 15th, so there won't be anything that week.
Are you going anywhere fun?
I am. My niece is getting married in the Dominican Republic. So I'm going to the beach.
Oh my God. Don't take any work. Just go to the beach.
Probably not, because we have pretty limited luggage. So I'm going to take a break.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Go have so much fun. I haven't been there yet, but it's supposed to be pretty.
Yeah, she's been there a number of times. Her dad has a timeshare there, so she likes it. So that's where we're going. It's just timing kind of is bad. It's right there before Thanksgiving, but in the middle of the semester when I'll have so much to grade when I get home.
It's okay.
keeps you on the heart.
Do stuff. It's fine.
Yeah,
totally understand.
Well, I don't have any other questions.
Me either. I think you've answered. I mean, I'm just focused on the next couple weeks, so this helps.
Okay, sounds good. If you run into questions, you can email me, but I think we covered it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Let's see if I can stop recording.